Running fans, jumping fans, throwing fans, all around athletics fans, welcome to Talking in Ovals. How's everybody doing out there on this Monday, February 17th, 2025, episode number 127? Dave, what's going on, my brother?
I am absolutely speechless about what we just witnessed in this past week, and it actually stemmed down here to New Jersey. Congratulations to Joe Barrett running an 8:08 for the 3K, second fastest in New Jersey state history. I mean, absolutely flying. I mean, I don't know what we just witnessed this past week. I'm sure we will get into it in a little bit, but that is why this sport is on the rise and why this sport is going to be in every household before the next Olympics comes, and all these athletes will be household names. It was absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah, we will get into this weekend and all the things that transpired over this past week. Since we had our last show, it's pretty crazy to think about. But before we get into all the fun stuff, first things first, we want to thank everyone for watching, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, X. How's everybody doing out there? Please do your due diligence, like, share, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're listening to us via podcast form, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon, make sure you do the right thing and give us a 5-star review. Leave a comment so we could say what's up. And if you're watching right now, leave a comment, say hi. We'll say hi back. Last week, we had a fun show. We talked to one of the best high school athletes in the country.
Oh, yeah.
Decathlon national champion, Colton Dean, looking to chase after his next national championship over at IMG Academy. It was lots of fun. We appreciate everyone that came out with all the conversation and the chat and everything. So we were pumped to have him on. But I want to get to this episode as quickly as we can because we are equally as pumped to welcome on this young lady. She is one of the fastest 800-meter runners in the country and has been a part of one of the teams that has been on a meteoric rise as a program. She is Meghan Hunter. She is a 2-time All-American and a senior at BYU. What is going on, Meghan?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
We really appreciate it. And it was funny too, because I try to have as many cool people on as we can. And it was cool. And this was fresh after you just dropping a 2-flat over at the Terrier, winning the Terrier. And I was like, you know what? Let me message Meghan. And you got back to me quickly and was like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, sweet. Because I'm not going to lie, we have been trying to hawk the best college talent. And you guys are the hardest ones to get to. So I'm
college athletes.
Yeah.
Oh, the college athletes. And it's but that's where it's at, right? That's where everyone pays attention to you guys more than the pros right now. You talk to all the high school kids, they know what all the best college athletes are doing.
Well, because they were running against them last year and the previous year. So they have a personal connection with the kids in college now. And it's great to see.
And I'm pretty sure you know that. You're, obviously you're a senior, but I'm pretty sure you know, you go back to your high school, you're a local legend, right? Everyone knows who you are. So it's really cool that, you agreed to jump on, and we truly, truly, truly appreciate it. So before we jump into, talking all about you, which is what we actually enjoy doing here, we don't have any PRs, but Dave, you mentioned that whole entire spree of world records. We want to jump to this. Meghan, I'm going to want your opinion on all of this madness. So we're looking, this is World Athletics tweet right here, 9 days, 5 men, 7 world records. So I'm going to click on it here. So let's real quick. On February 8th, Grant Fisher set the 3K indoor record.
Might be the greatest race that I've ever seen in my entire life.
And then we have on the 8th again, we have Yara Nuguse running a 3:46.63 to set the indoor mile. Then February 13th, Jakob Ingebrigtsen's really mean, and he sets the mile record at 3:45.14, breaking
over a second.
Over a second, and en route ran a 3:29.63 for the 15, getting that.
Unreal.
And then, not to be outdone, on the 14th, Grant Fisher sets the indoor 5K, which, just want to remind everyone, he ran half of that race on his own. Ran a 12:44.09.
He ran half of that lane in lane 3, because I've never seen a world record attempt with lapped runners. It's the first time that I've ever seen it.
I've never seen a more dense group of individuals, and I guarantee they are nice gentlemen, But
Get
man,
out of the
you
way.
know that Grant Fisher's
Out of
running
the
for a
way.
world record attempt. I know like athletes get pissed if they're the leaders and the lap ones don't get out of the way. Could you imagine not getting out? I would have, if I was in lane one running against somebody, I would have shoved that guy out of the way just to get out of Grant's way. I digress. On the 16th of February, we had the men's 20K race walk being broken by Tajikazu Yamanishi, and he clocked a 1:16.10. And then in the men's half, Jacob
Yesterday.
obliterates that marathon record, 56.42. So
He ran one of his 10Ks, I think it was 5K to 15K, about as fast as Grant Fisher's PR.
no. It was Grant Fisher's PR, not as
Right.
fast. It equaled Grant Fisher's PR.
My
And
bad.
this is not to leave out Meghan, that you guys over at BYU, ladies, you guys set a national record, 10:37 in the DMR. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Which is a team that you were a part of.
Mhm.
And I believe we also saw the men's DMR and the men's mile collegiate records also shattered and broken.
So first off, Meghan, number one, what's it like being a part of all of this that's going on right now? A part of all these fast times, records being broken, whether it's world, national, collegiate. Are you kind of feeling the moment, or are you just running and trying to compete as good as you can?
Yeah, I think running a lot of times kind of gets the stereotype that it's the sport that like nobody watches, like it's a miracle if we have people in the stands. But I haven't been feeling a lot of that the past couple of years. I feel like things are really getting hyped up with track, and we're able to see that with these different programs and leagues going on. And so yeah, it's super exciting to kind of be here in college as everything is ramping up. For example, like at Milrose Games, I was able to be there, and that's where
Yeah.
2 of those world records were broken,
Oh,
and the energy there just was so cool. And I think that's a big part of why there's been so much success, because people are kind of caring more about the track and field world. And yeah, like at Milrose, my dad bought a flight to New York when he found out I was going,
so
and
cool.
then he couldn't even find tickets to the meet, and he was eventually able to get in. But yeah, it's just people are caring a lot more about track, and I think that's a big part of why we're seeing so much success in the professional world, in the collegiate world, and you're seeing a lot in high school as well. So yeah, it is super exciting, and it is something that, as a runner, I notice. So
Speaking of high school, there was a high school sophomore who ran a 1:46 indoors as a 16-year-old.
It's nuts. So I have a quick question for you before we get into all your like fun stuff about your background. Do you take an enjoyment coming from Utah, coming over to the Northeast, where I know us in the Northeast, we pride ourselves on indoor, right? Like indoor is a
It's
thing. We have a
our
ton of indoor tracks. That's kind of what we
It's our
love to
territory.
do. It's our territory. Do you kind of pride yourself coming over here, coming to Boston, going to Milrose, and kind of whooping up on all the Northeasterners and rubbing our noses in it a little bit as you guys fly by us sometimes?
it is so fun to come to the East, because yeah, this is like where you see all these records fallen, in Boston and New York. And so yeah, we used to at BYU, Seattle used to be like our place to
Sure.
go for indoor.
Yeah.
We were there 3-4 times a year, but the last couple of years we've been going to Boston. That's just kind of been the place to
Listen,
go and
How
feel that
great is
energy.
that track? How
that track
awesome
is
is the magic carpet over at BU? It's so nice to run on.
Yes, it is awesome. We felt the Boston magic, that's for sure.
It's a sponge. It's so weird because it's aggressive, but it's also soft. I have no idea what they put down there. It's insane, and that bank is just perfect. Like it is a perfect bank. But I think honestly, I think what it is like the straights are like the size of my laptop. There is no straights
which is
over in BU. It is all bend. So it's
Uh,
conducive to good distance running. It
yeah.
really is. So
yeah,
it
yeah,
is
I love it.
lots of fun. So I want to jump into you, Megan. I want to ask you the same question that we ask all of our guests at the top of the show. And that is, what was your spark for becoming a runner? Not necessarily when you started running, but when did it hit you like, all
The-
right, I want to be a runner. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to go to college, pursue, and do this seriously.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it was pretty gradual for me. My whole family runs, and we would do like the Hershey's track meets growing up. But yeah, those were just like kind of for fun. I kind of liked them, kind of was like, whatever.
Mm.
Um, it wasn't until my freshman year of high school we started with cross country season, and my older sister, she's like Utah state
Oh,
champion in
wow.
cross country, and like I started off trying to follow her footsteps, and cross country was not fun. I hated it. I was like, oh gosh, I think I'm gonna break the mold. Like I've got to go play volleyball or something else. But I was like, okay, let's just give it a couple of weeks and see how it goes. Because it was my first time like running every
Sure.
single day. And yeah, it was a lot. But after a couple of weeks, I started to realize it was actually kind of fun. Like I loved the people. It was fun just I'm going to hang out with some people and we happen to be going on a run too. That's kind of what it felt
Yep.
like. And so that freshman year of cross country season is kind of what got me to love it. And then freshman year track season in high school is when I got to start doing the shorter things, 100, 200. It was so fun. And yeah, just gradually, the more I think that I put into it, obviously the more I got out of it. And yeah, the more I really loved it.
So
So I
once you start,
refuse. So real quick, I refuse to
yeah.
let you sell yourself short though, because what you leave out there, where it's like, "Oh, my sister was this great." You're the 400-meter record holder in Utah, are you not?
Yeah.
No, you're making it seem like, "Oh, I wasn't that great," and here you are. You're the
Well,
best 400-meter runner in the history of the state of Utah. So do not sell yourself short, young lady.
so once you found the magic of the 400 and the 100 and 200, were you like, that's it for XC, or did you continue with all 3 seasons throughout your high school
Yeah,
career?
I did continue for
Did you?
all 3 seasons. I knew cross country wasn't really gonna take me anywhere in college or anything like that, but I enjoyed it, and so it's something that I stuck with, and it gave me something to do during that track off season. But yeah, I did end up enjoying cross country in high school, and I continued to do it for, all 4 years.
So
And it's like we oh, go ahead, Dave.
once you found, your events, because that's part of the early process in running is, finding, like, do I run distance, do I have enough speed? Once you found where you were, was it hard to focus, and did you focus more on the shorter sprints, or was it more 400 was kind of more your forte going forward?
Yeah, well, I thought I had found my events. I thought it was the 1, 2, and 4. The ones I did at most meets were the 2 and the 4, kind of those longer sprints. And yeah, those were just the most fun. It's what I ended up being best at in high school. I did the 800 a couple of times just to either qualify for a meet or score a meet.
Sure.
But yeah, the best I ever ran in high school was a 209, and I went out in 68 and closed in a 61. And so I think when college coaches saw that, they thought, okay, if she
She's
can
untapped. Yeah.
pace an 800 correctly and train like an 800 runner, that's where we want her. So I thought I had it figured out in high school. I loved the 2 and 4, but yeah, I was being recruited for the 800.
Yeah,
So
I'd be pretty excited if I had a girl go out in 68 and come back in 61. I mean, you out in 68, you're not figuring they're going to run anywhere near 210. So, and that's quite impressive.
So coming out of high school and then you're starting to be recruited for the 800 was a little heartbreaking to sit there and be like, I thought I was done running cross country stuff. I do track to
yeah.
not go do 5, 6, 7, 8 mile runs. Now you're telling me I'm going to have to go back to doing that plus do the workouts of a 400-meter runner on the track. Like, were you up for the challenge and excited for it? Or was there a little bit half of like, oh man, I really didn't want to do all this in college?
Yeah, I think there was some of each. I was gonna be sad to let go of the sprinter events, but at the same time, I just was excited to do whatever I was gonna be best at. And the fact that all these coaches wanted me for the 8 made me just trust, like,
Yeah.
okay, they know what they're doing, and yeah, it'll be a new adventure. I know college is gonna be so different anyways. College training is gonna be so different, so might as well just throw a different event on there.
Dave, don't you love it when you see a kid in high school and you're coaching them and then they're like a mile or 2 mile and you look at them and you're like, you're a 10K guy. And they're like, wait, what? Like you look at them and the
Yep.
girl like, yeah, you're doing the 10K if you run in
That
college. And
was
you're like,
yeah.
no.
Now, was there any part of you who said, no, I want to go to a school where they will let me do the 1, 2, and 4, or you just resigned to the fact like everybody wants me in the 8, so that's got to be my best chance? Or was it that you were so set to go to BYU that whatever they wanted you, that's what you were going to conform to in a sense?
There were things that I was looking for in colleges that mattered a lot more to me than kind of what event I was doing. USC actually did say, they're like, yeah, whatever event you want to choose, like we're happy to
USC,
wherever.
Carolina or California?
California. Yeah. Southern California.
She is over by the West Coast.
I know.
And Dave, it doesn't matter where you are. USC does not mean South Carolina. You know, South
They've
Carolina
had some
means
great
South
girls
Carolina.
teams in the past. They've had some great girls.
Okay, but they're
track
not
teams.
allowed to say USC. Everywhere around the world knows USC is Southern Cal.
Yeah. Yeah, I know USC is Southern California. And I'm guessing they just told me that just to kind of get me there. I'm sure they would have kind of fine-tuned me where they wanted me to, but yeah.
So BYU, was that a school being from there that you wanted to go to for most of like, your whole high school career? Was that your number one choice?
Yeah, originally, like when my freshman, sophomore year of high school, when I realized like it would be the coolest thing in the world to be able to run for college, BYU was kind of what was on my mind. But as I started being recruited by different schools and going on visits, I was like, wait, like there are other options and these are not bad options.
No. Did Utah State ever have a chance? Because I know there is the bitter rivalry between BYU, Utah State. Like there is, once you become one, the others don't exist anymore.
Yeah, I had pretty much decided early on that if I was going to stay in Utah, it would be BYU.
Okay.
But
especially running wise, I mean, they have such a proud tradition of running there. It's a very prominent school in that sport. So
yeah, and ended up being the school that I felt like was going to be the best fit for me. And looking back, so grateful I ended up at BYU. Yeah.
So how much of it was Coach Taylor, right? Because obviously Coach Ajit Taylor has been a really good coach over, what was she at Cal Poly, I believe, first for a little. And she came over to BYU in 2016 for Women's XC and then became the full-on director of track in 2019. How much of that went into your decision making that not only will you get to coach by a great coach, but the fact that it was a female, because we don't see many female coaches. We're seeing so many more now jumping into the sport, but it was such a male dominated profession. How much did that go into the factor that not only is it a female coach, but it is a absolutely incredible female coach that is one of just the best coaches, bar none, in the country at the sport?
Yeah, her recruiting game was top notch. So that was definitely huge. The things that really pulled me to BYU were the coach and the team. Because obviously there are a lot of really impressive things about different facilities and their fueling plan at other schools. And yeah, some of those things were really tempting and really incredible. But what really set BYU apart from those other schools were the team culture and the coach. And just talking with the girls at my BYU visit, I knew this was just kind of a sisterhood that I wanted to be a part of. And I could really feel a difference between them and some other teams that I visited. And yeah, I think a huge part of that is from the coach. And I think her being a woman is also super helpful because there are so many emotions and different layers of women in athletics. The kinds of things that she has to go through with all of us is a lot, and she takes it all really well. And so she's done a really good job at fostering that good team culture that I fell in love with from the beginning.
It's incredible.
That's so good. So I want you to now take us down memory lane. Let's bring it back a little bit. I want you to give us your favorite memories so far. Back when you first started running, when you were doing your little family races over at the Hershey
Hershey.
meets, up until where we are now at this point, senior at BYU. I hope that you're looking to go next level because you're one of the fastest women in the country. Um, give us some of your favorite memories of being a runner.
Yeah, at each level of running, there have just been so many like different fun aspects at each level. And so yeah, back in the Hershey's games, I just remember like being there with my family, my siblings, just so much fun. In high school, I had amazing teammates. My favorite memory from high school, and maybe from all of running, honestly, was winning state my senior year with them. Um, we, yeah, it kind of, we knew it was going to kind of take a miracle for us to be able to do that. And my teammates just really all came together and we all played a part in that. And that was just so much fun
Yeah.
to finish my high school season like that. We finished it up with the 4x4.
Yep.
And being able to win that with my team was so much fun. We ended up winning state by half a point. So
That is
And
so fun, man.
what I love, you and so many of our past guests,
Yeah.
it's never usually an individual honor that is their fondest memory. And it's usually in high school and it's with their high school teammates. Cause I know me, I'm still best friends with the kids that I ran with in high school. You build this bond, or if it's not individual, it's a relay meet. I just feel like this sport enables all of us to just foster these wonderful relationships that can last forever, and you saying that your team winning was more important than you winning the individual title just goes to show what this sport is all about. And we talked to so many great athletes who have that same exact mentality, and it's just wonderful to see.
yeah, that's
So
a big
let's
reason why I love running, is just kind of
yeah.
the friendships and the bonds that I've created with people. So yeah.
So what about college? Because you've obviously had a lot of highlights over in
Mhm.
college, and they're still coming, right? Because you set a national record over with the DMR. I forgot to mention that you are the school record holder in the 400 meter now with your 53:01 that you ran. Um, tell me about what are some of your favorite memories of collegiate running over at BYU?
There are a lot, but one that really sticks out for me was when I was able to qualify for outdoor nationals. Is 2023, I think it was. Um, high school running had gone really well for me. Things were looking good, and then college came, and there were a lot of challenges, and
Oh yeah.
um, it was really difficult. I was not running consistently. I wasn't running well for years, and this was finally my fourth year at BYU that things started coming together and kind of clicking near the end of the season. And yeah, I went in ranked really, I think I was ranked like 78th in the country going into regionals. And I made it through round one, and I made it through that second round to make it to nationals. And my teammate Claire was running the 800 as well. So we both made it to
That's
nationals
fun.
Oh,
in the same heat, and then at nationals we both made it to the final. And I had a 3-second PR to do that. So
That's
that
so
was, yeah, a big memory for me just because it had taken a lot to get there.
So, what is it at that point? Because not many people, number one, get to experience going to a championship meet of that caliber in general. What is that like getting there with your teammate, feeling happy for each other, but then realizing that once we toe the line, it doesn't matter, right? Like, I love you, I train with you, we will be
yeah.
happy later, but right now, we're not friends. Every step I take is I want one step faster than you, I hope. So, what is that moment like? And obviously, we've been, all of us are runners. We've been doing
Sure.
this forever. We compete. But at that level where it's a championship where you want to win, what is that moment like where obviously you're done saying your happy moments and there you go. Now I'm trying to beat you like everybody else.
Yeah. Well, like in that final, there's also 7 other people
Sure.
that are there. And so for me at least, I felt like I was able to just kind of focus on I'm just yeah, in that race, everyone is just kind of someone that I want to beat.
Sure.
And yeah, that does add another layer to racing, I think, for a lot of people. And a lot of people kind of take it in different ways. But yeah, the thing that's helped me with that is, at least during workouts, like we're just
Sure.
really working with each other.
Yeah.
And no hard feelings there. And I feel like that kind of translates into races too. Like if we had placed 1 and 2,
Yeah.
I
It
feel like
wouldn't
it
have mattered.
really mattered to me who was 1 and who was
Yeah, I
2.
mean, I would also look at it as it can be an advantage, because if your teammate's feeling good, you're like, it just gives you that mental, like, hey, I train with her every day. She's
Mhm.
going, I can go. So it can almost be a boost too, like, hey, I know I can run with her. I do it every day in practice, and vice versa. So
Mhm.
it could be harder, but it can also be a something that could be an aid to assist you if, like, you're
Yeah,
down a little
I've
bit, you're like,
definitely felt that.
you know,
Yeah, it definitely gives you confidence, being in the same heat as someone that you train with every
every
day.
day. Yep.
So what has it been like from then, right? 2023 is your first time. You make it to finals. Now
Mhm.
you're no more Meghan Hunter, who's ranked wherever. Now there's expectations coming into every year, every meet. There's a target on your back. Now people know who you are, right? You were
Mhm.
one of the 9 best 800-meter runners in the country. What has it been like having to sit there and know that every meet you go into now, we talked to Julie Cully, God, months ago now, I think over a year ago,
Over a year ago, yeah.
and she talked about, during her 5K national title that she won, she kind of had out of body moments looking at all the other athletes going, I'm racing against her and racing against her. Do you have some of those moments at times where, like, obviously you pay attention, everyone knows who's good, especially in this generation, right?
Sure.
Mhm.
Everyone knows who everyone is.
It's impossible not to.
Have you gone in those moments at some points and been like, okay, she's here, but not realizing who you are at some points as well? That people are looking at you the same way now?
Yeah, that's you described it pretty well. Yeah, there's a lot of meets that I go in like, "Oh my goodness, she's here." And that's something that I'm really trying to work on,
Sure.
is
It's hard.
realizing like what I've done too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something that I feel like has been important to really figure out how to gauge and balance, and something that I'm still working on.
Yeah, I kind of want to ask you a question. Like, have you run in any meets against pros yet, or have you strictly just run in collegiate meets against other collegiate kids? And if you
Mhm.
have you noticed a different hype, and is there a different feeling that maybe you can use going forward in to your maybe your next part of your career?
Yeah, I've raced in several pro meets. Coach likes to, yeah, have us be able to race with the pros,
Sure.
and then I've raced at the trials, and Milrose was a pro meet just this last week. And yeah, the feelings, the vibes are very different. It was interesting. I was thinking about, because at Milrose, the pro meet,
Sure.
um yeah, it's so hard to describe, but it is a very different feeling than a collegiate meet. It feels like things are kind of, yeah,
Sure. Energy higher. Yeah.
higher, and yeah, it's a higher energy. But then it really helps prepare me for those collegiate meets, because for me those collegiate meets are going to be a lot higher stakes
Yeah.
Sure.
than the
Yeah.
pro meets, even though the energy feels more intense at these pro meets. So yeah, I love being able to compete at both and be able to feel those different energies and kind of learn from both of those, for both of those.
And,
Sure.
I feel like for the pros, the stakes are higher at that point, right? Because for you, you can have a good or a bad race. You're going back to BYU. Coach has already entered you into other races. You're not
Mhm.
worried about getting dropped, right? That's a big thing where these pros have to try and put their best feet forward every single time, because they're worried about getting dropped from their sponsor if they have one. So there is definitely that pressure.
Sure.
Now, the NIL puts a whole different perspective on that. I don't know what,
Yeah.
what your NIL situation is, if you have one or anything. So I think that will add a different
Oh, yeah.
layer eventually to college as more and more athletes get one. And I will say this, anybody watching, if Meghan Hunter does not have an NIL, what the hell are you doing? Pay this young lady now, because she deserves it. But I will be your advocate for you, Megan, because when
Thank you.
she's a indoor and outdoor 800-meter national champion, you're going to want to make sure that you're that NIL person. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well,
But
thank you.
So I want to jump into that a little because we're talking about the mindset, and something you told us that you were big on is mental health.
Yep.
So how long has mental health been something that you've been focusing on as an athlete? And honestly, it's something that carries over, right, to every day. You're a student athlete. So you're
Mhm.
obviously in college, you're going to classes, you're balancing things. Number one, first off, what's your major? I want to know that. I always ask our college, anyone that, what's your major?
I'm studying communication disorders for speech
Oh,
therapy.
Wow.
okay. So something very specific and seeming could
Yes.
be very intense. So
Yeah.
what is mental health meant to you as an athlete and everything? And how have you gone about getting yourself prepared? Because we all know here, running, especially the freaking 800, is probably 90% mental, 10% your physical preparation. Because at the college level, you step on that line, everyone's in great shape. So it's
Mhm.
honestly who is mentally toughest. So, what is your mental health? How has that journey been for you?
Yeah, I feel like in high school, like I just kind of went with the flow. Like I would get nervous, but I didn't focus a lot on kind of the mental side of running.
The
After
ignorance is
I
bliss of being a high school kid, right? Like, you don't know
Right.
how,
Yeah,
like, deep it
you
really
just
goes.
right. Yeah, you have no idea. Um, the summer after I graduated high school, I was in a serious car accident where I broke
Mm.
my neck. Um,
Ouch. Oh, wow.
yeah, so big ouchie, and
Jeez.
obviously it took some time physically to get back from that. But once I was back physically, I realized the mental side of everything was not quite there either. About a year and a half after the accident, I started having some symptoms of PTSD, and things just kind of got worse and worse and worse. And yeah, the PTSD obviously was focused with the car accident. It was focused with driving in certain conditions on certain roads, but it really bled into kind of everything else.
Sure.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
with that, I know if that was me being an athlete, even though like runners, everyone thinks, oh, it's your legs, right? Like, but that's a
Mhm.
serious injury. That's a neck injury. And, neck injuries aren't anything to mess around with. It's a potentially fatal thing, right? And it's a car accident.
Sure.
So,
Mhm.
was there a big part of you that was worried that you're never going to get back to being the runner you were? Because I dealt with injuries, it mentally crushed me. I was
Yeah.
never the runner I was in college. I absolutely sucked in college. I talked to my coach. I was texting him a little while ago as I was like looking through things. I'm like, I might have been the worst athlete you ever coached. He's like, there's a chance. There might be a few worse than you, but you're there. But it's like, and a lot of it has to do. I got surgery going in, and I honestly was just never the same. Were there those thoughts that crept up in you outside of the PTSD of, I can't train, I'm going into this new setting, this is going to make me not a good runner anymore?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Day one, I was life flighted to a hospital, and my coach had met me at the hospital, and I was in one of the little ER rooms, and my coach was out there with my family talking with the doctor, and coach is like, is she gonna be able to run again? Like, what's that looking like? And the doctor said, well, it's not like she's gonna be an Olympian or anything, and that
The
my
doctor's
coach had
wrong,
some
damn it.
words. My coach had some
Look at the
words to
doctor
say about
selling you short.
Who's that doctor's name? Do you remember it? Because when you go to the Olympics, I
well, it's
want you to
okay.
look
He
at the
changed
camera and be like,
Hey,
here I
doctor.
am, doc.
the next day going into surgery. He looked at me. He said 52.5, and that was my 400
Okay.
PR. And so he had done his research, and
So he
I
kind
better
of ate
fix
his
her.
words a little. He's
He's
like,
like, I better,
52.5, she's got a shot.
I better fix her.
yeah. So yeah, we really weren't sure what things were going to look like. We knew there was going to be a good chance that, competitive running just wasn't going to be in the cards for me anymore. But yeah, I had a great team to kind of help me back from that. And so yeah, there are still things that I avoid in the weight room. It still will get tight and sore after every flight or travel day. I'll have my trainers rub my shoulders out, get the neck
Yeah.
loose again. But yeah, super grateful for the recovery that I did have with that. And yeah, there were some questions of whether or not I was going to be able to, but Initially, I felt like I had done a great job getting to the point where I was like, if I don't run again, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I hope I do, but if I don't, it's all gonna be okay. So initially, I feel like my mental game was pretty strong. I was like, yeah, we're gonna be okay either way. And then
Because
those feelings of like, oh, am I ever gonna get back to where
Sure.
I am? Those definitely trickled in later on.
yeah, I'm saying once you started coming back and training, and then you're like, all right, now that I'm actually doing this again, I've already made that choice.
Yeah, then it
That
got a
is
little
something that I'm
harder.
going to do. Like, because you said like you were fine with the possibility of never running again, but once you decide to actually get back on it and run again, then all those doubts come in. Am I going to be good? Is it worth
Mhm.
it? And that's just this game that every athlete has to go through. That just your mind tells you no, but your coach and everybody say you're good, but it doesn't matter what coach says. It's what do I believe? I have that now,
Mhm.
with some athletes that I'm coaching. Like, you are so good. Just believe, believe, believe. You belong exactly where you are.
Yeah, I felt like yeah, once I had started running and was back in workouts and stuff, I something that kind of helped keep me going was like, well, I made it this far and so why not keep going? And something else I thought about like future Megan and thought about like what is she going to be proud of? Like what kind of effort
That's
does she
awesome.
need from me? And I thought about little Megan, like what would she be proud like would she be proud of where I'm at right now? And so that's something that kind of
Great way to
kept
put
me
it.
going.
I feel like you
No.
need to make an ad and like with little cartoon versions of
Little
like
Megan.
someone going through something and it's like and then like you like future Megan pops up and it's like, "Do you remember
Gonna
when
be
you
okay.
gave up? Do you remember when you
Yeah,
did that?" Little Megan's like, "Don't give up, Megan." And you're like, "I'm listening to Little Megan. I'm doing this for you."
yeah,
Like that's how
he's so cute.
you should make like a Nike ad.
Oh,
That's
So once you decide to come back, what was
mhm,
that, not just the physical journey, but what was that mental journey like to try to say, I'm sure you had many days where you had self-doubt and your workouts weren't where you wanted to be. And we always compare ourselves to when we're at our absolute best.
yeah.
Why? That's
mhm.
just human nature. And so we're always like, will I ever get back? Even now, if I go on a run at 46, I'm like, I'm not running like I did when I was 18.
I'm not
It's a
cranking out 6:15 miles for 6 miles. It's like, no, you idiot.
It's a foolish mindset, but
Yeah.
every
It's the
competitive
same
runner
way.
has it. So what was that
Yeah.
journey like to get back and to kind of prove to yourself like I can still do this?
Yeah, I mean, it took 4 years to feel like I was finally to the level that I was at, that I was in high school. Um, and so, yeah, that journey, it was a lot of ups and downs. Yeah, filled with just like the panic, the anxieties, the self-doubt. There was a lot of that. And something that really helped, yeah, was the support system that I had. But yeah, also really prioritizing my mental health and getting on medication when I needed to, working
And I
with
think that's
sports
huge.
therapists.
If you need medication, admitting it, right? Like figuring
Mhm,
out and you need it. I think there is such a stigma about needing something to help you outside of just therapeutic, outside of a strong support system. And I think that there's something to be said, and this goes through a lot. PTSD has that happen, and we see it happen to soldiers a ton. And soldiers, I've known some of my friends that have come home and the last thing they struggle with is the fact that they can't do it on their own. And I think that's huge that you mentioned that because
Support system.
that's
mhm,
part of the support system is understanding that something chemically changed as a defense mechanism and it's okay to want and need that help more than just seeking advice from mom and dad, coaches, friends, family. Like
Therapists. Yeah.
that's awesome that you can admit that that's part of what you are.
mhm. Yeah, it definitely took me a while to feel like I could take that step because there is that stigma, and I was
Yeah,
worried, "Oh, is it gonna make me less competitive?"
Right.
And obviously not every runner who is stressed and anxious about
sure.
their races is gonna need medication.
But
Not every
not
runner broke their
not every
neck
runner, right, at a card. And
going
then
into their
now was,
college career.
I mean, and I'm sure, there's a whole process of which medication will be best for what I'm trying to do because different ones affect you different ways. So I'm sure that whole process was a mental challenge to finding what works best for me, not just
Mhm.
training, medication, overall, you know,
Right. Yeah, lots of
mental health.
factors to it.
Yeah. There was a ton. So outside of that, what about some of your relationships though, right? Like, how did your relationship with Coach Taylor, possibly your former high school coach? Because obviously, here I am sitting here with one of my former high school coaches doing a podcast. So those things matter.
Mhm.
How important were those relationships in helping you? Because like I said, I still text my old coach at Marist. He's like a father to me. How has that been in order? Because obviously you're still competing and you're still running really well. So it's not like, we're talking to a retired athlete here. Like you're still highly competitive, one of the best runners in the country. How has your relationships around you built? And if you want to give anybody shout outs in terms of who's helped
Sure.
you, go ahead.
Mhm. Yeah, there have been so many. You mentioned Coach Taylor. She's one where um for the first bit of me running, she was really soft on me. She's a very intense, passionate person.
You
But
can tell.
she was very gentle with how she coached me, and I think that's what I needed at that time,
Every athlete's so
coming
different.
back
Yeah.
from injury. And then things just weren't really working, and her coaching style kind of changed to be a lot harder on me. And that's something that I couldn't handle at that time. And we were both pretty frustrated with each other after a race, and she was like, tell me what you need, like tell me how you need to be coached, because this obviously isn't working. And I told her, I kind of told her what I need to hear after a race, what I kind of feel like expectations need to be like, and yeah, we talked through kind of what we needed from each other, and since then it's honestly been so great.
And
um
honestly,
I,
kudos to Coach Taylor
Yeah.
and to BYU Athletics, because one of the easiest things to do when you have a premier program
It's
is
like,
to
all right,
look at an athlete that's
later.
struggling and say, we need to give that scholarship to somebody else because
Mhm.
we brought you here. So kudos to them for not giving up on you and seeing, and obviously they're getting a lot out of
Yeah.
sticking with you in terms of a program and you guys working together. So, it's real easy,
Yeah.
especially with the premier program and a premier coach, to be like, and it's one of those things too, as an athlete, I guarantee if Coach Taylor was like, listen, Megan, you can stay on the team, but I got to give this to somebody else, you probably would have been like, this sucks, but sure, I get it. Because that's part of like the
Mhm.
business side of it. Right. But
Right.
really kudos
Oh,
to
incredible.
Coach BYU and everyone for sticking with you, because again, it's difficult, right? Or the whole situation is difficult. And that's freaking awesome that
Yeah.
she's willing to bend her style to be a little more personal for her athletes, because that's also another really difficult thing for coaches to do.
Yeah, I've really seen her kind of personalize her coaching style
Yeah.
to different people in different phases of
So who
their
really is Coach
journey.
Taylor? Haha.
Right, you never know, lots of different
So,
paths.
yeah, I'm fascinated by this. So I just want to change it up a little. So you talked about the mental health journey after the injury and
Mhm.
proving to yourself that you can do this again and that you can do it at a very high level. What has it been since you've been back? And now Alex kind of mentioned earlier that you're kind of more of the hunted. What has that mental journey been like? Because it's kind of,
Haha, not the hunter, the hunted.
yeah,
Haha.
you like, oh, that I didn't see that. But like you fight so hard to get back, and then you're back, and it's like you're not. It's like a different mindset because now you're not fighting to get. You're already at that level. So how has your mindset kind of changed, and how has that been mentally tough to kind of switch gears almost in a sense, or do you still have that same
Yeah.
mindset that got you there?
Yeah, there's a lot that's changed and a lot that has stayed the same. Something that's really stuck with me is that progress isn't linear.
That's a
There's going to
great
be
quote.
so many ups and
Awesome.
downs. But when you look at the big picture, at least if you're doing the right things and working towards a goal, then it's going to kind of be trending upwards.
Sure.
And so even now when things are going well, most races or ones that I'm happy about, there are still ups and downs. And yeah, I'm just able to look back on, okay, a few months ago, this was what things were like, and now they're up here. And so yeah, just remembering that not everything is going to be perfect. There's still going to be bad workouts, bad races, but being okay with that. I think in the past I wasn't willing to be okay with those bad days and races. But now it's something that I am here for the process. That's something that's been huge, is kind of shifting from outcome goals to process goals and just really enjoying the process and being less focused on the outcome and kind of what the outcome means. And yeah, then just remembering that there are going to be hard days, but
Yeah.
there's going to be good ones too.
Yeah,
You maybe dropped one of my favorite quotes there. Progress isn't linear. It's so simple, but
yeah,
it's something I've never heard anybody say. And I think that's a really cool way to, and a good thing to, for athletes and coaches and parents to remember when it comes to dealing with athletes and yourself. And I think that's really,
sure.
honestly, it's like so simple, but it's something
Mhm.
that is so true that just because you're not PRing every meet doesn't mean that you're not doing the work, that you're not
Sure.
doing your job, that you're not getting better. So
Right.
I'm sorry, it's like something so simple, but I freaking love that. Progress isn't
Mhm.
linear. I love it. Sorry, Dave, I cut you off.
No, no, no. I was just gonna say, so being a senior now, you have to start. Are you allowing yourself to venture into the thought process of what the future might hold, or are you just locked in now to what you have to do now? And it might help that your coach has just been given a job with Nike. So see me,
Congrats to her. Well
yeah, that's
deserved.
incredible. Now
Mhm.
I would take that as an athlete. Like I'm sure some people might take it as, oh, maybe that's less time with us. I would take it as we're getting all these amazing athletes coming in to work out where we work out with our coach. So have you allowed yourself to maybe get in that process of what the future holds, or are you just locked in on this is what I have to do at this moment because that's what works best for me?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't thinking about the future at least a little
Sure.
bit.
Good. Yeah.
Human nature,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, there's some exciting things that can happen. And so thinking about that, but advice that I've been given by Coach Taylor's pro athletes that used to be here at BYU, they've told me to just really stay in the present, enjoy college
Yeah.
because it's just like how, I miss a lot of things about high school running.
Sure.
In the professional world, if that works out for me, then I'm going to be missing some
Yeah.
things with collegiate running. And
100%.
I've also heard pro runners telling me that when they were too focused on what does this race mean for my future, then that's when things kind of didn't go well and weren't
Yeah.
as
Wonderful.
enjoyable. And
Great advice.
so, yeah, try when I look at each race, I'm thinking about like, okay, this is just for right now. We're just trying to stay as present minded as I can, but also letting myself be a little bit excited about
See, I was just
what
gonna ask that. Like, do you let yourself after, like, when you ran too
Be a
flat,
little kid
like
sometimes.
I just ran too flat, but like that's like I ran really, really well. Do you allow yourself in that moment to say, I'm proud of myself? Or do you just have to keep that mindset of keep grinding and grinding? Because some people are different. Like I was more
Yeah.
like, all right, like I ran well, but now it's back to where I'm going. Like I wish
Mhm.
that I would have gone back and enjoyed more in that moment rather than always feel like I have to keep fighting and fighting and fighting.
Yeah. I think there's definitely room for both of those things. And I feel like I didn't do a great job at that in the past. I didn't let myself be excited. When I did reach a goal, I was just kind of like, actually, this doesn't feel as good as I thought it was going to be. Like, that wasn't like, this is what I actually need to do. And so this season, my two words for this season are humble and excited. And even though these things can kind of be opposites in a way, I think they work together really well. I'm letting myself be excited with the success that I've had, but also being humble and realizing that there's still a lot of work to do, and to kind of keep my head down. So I'm really trying to be intentional with making space for both of those things as I succeed, and as even when things don't go as
Sure.
well, I still want to be able to think, well, it's exciting that I
Right.
still had this experience, was able to learn from some things,
Because
and then
progress is not linear. So
There you
exactly,
go.
yeah.
So, what has it been like coming in as a freshman? Obviously, you had your traumas, but you've been able to come back and claw back and fight. What has it been like being in this culture of BYU track? Both men's and women's obviously seem like they have a fantastic culture.
oh
So, what
god.
has it been like being a part of this culture? And now, you're a senior, you're a leader, and now trying to foster that culture and keep it going so that the freshmen and sophomores understand what you guys are trying to build. Because Coach Taylor, the coaching staff can only do so much. It
Mhm.
really comes from the seniors and juniors buying
Sure.
in and kind of showing the sophomores and freshmen this is how we do things. And hopefully they get better than you, right? Hopefully every record you guys set can be broken every year, right? That's like the
Mhm.
progress. As much as you want it, it's like be really good if that 1037 goes down to a 1035 next year, and some other girls come in, and I'm happy to have the record, but you want that continued success of
Give
the
him at least 2
school.
years with the record.
Two
Give him at
okay,
least 2
2 years.
years.
But you want that continued success through the school. So how has that been as a senior, kind of
Sure.
latching on with Coach Taylor and trying to foster that? And also, what was it like coming in as a freshman and experiencing this culture and everything like that, and getting taught what it is to be a BYU Cougar?
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah. I feel like I've been able to see a lot of good things and some not as good things
Always.
while being on the team.
What was it
Mostly good
like being
things.
next to
I love
Zach
winning.
Wilson? Were
Huh?
you near Zach Wilson? What was it like being next to him? Damn it, he failed my Jets.
He's a Jets fan, so
Yeah.
he's a Jets fan, so
Yeah.
I'm only kidding. Go ahead.
But yeah, I feel like through the years I've been able to kind of see what's worked and what hasn't worked as well. And yeah, trying to use that with the squad that's here now. Um my 800-meter group, I love them all so much. They are so cute and they're just always working so hard. And I feel like we've really developed a good culture these last couple of years. And yeah, I'm really hopeful that these girls under me are going to be able to they will be able to be leaders once I'm gone. But yeah, I've really, I think, learned from the best, and it's something that yeah, I try to continue to think of, like, what do I need to be doing different, like what yeah, it's kind of a continued dynamic process of
So
like
how do you deal with the dynamic shifts, right? Because obviously the school that is BYU now, like, you're not getting girls that are running 215. You're getting girls that are
Mhm,
running 205 or
mhm,
two, they're all incredibly fast young ladies that were the nation's top runners coming in and things
sure.
like that. So how have you been able to be, as especially as a junior and senior, sophomore, you're still trying to figure things out, right? I'm kind of there, but I'm still junior, senior year is when those leadership is expected. What has it been like dealing with some of those girls coming in? Obviously, you're a part of the 400-meter group too. Those girls running, coming out of high school as 53 low, 54 low, 52 high
mhm.
girls, and kind of dealing with that dynamic of these hotshot girls who were state champions and record holders in their states and national competitors, and bringing them into the culture, because obviously dynamics change every single year as that freshman class,
Sure.
those seniors leave, those freshmen come in, there's a shift. So what has it been like kind of adjusting the dynamics there?
Yeah, for those girls who really, were super high up there in high school. For some of those girls, they're able to come in and blend really well with the team, and others, it's so different. Not just the running aspect of it, but just college in general,
Yeah.
moving away from home, doing different classes.
Yeah.
It's an adjustment, and a lot of these girls who were really good in high school are having a hard time,
Sure.
you know, coming up. And I that was kind of me too. Like I had a really hard time for years.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of workouts where, some of these girls are like, I can't do this. Like, you guys are all up here. I'm here.
It's so different stepping up when there's a bunch of adults running against you, right? Like, it's such
Right.
an intimidating thing when
It
you're
is.
18 and you're the big shot in high school, and all of a sudden you get to college and there's 21 and 22-year-old adults, and they look like adults, and you're just like, the hell?
I mean, well,
I still look like I'm 14. What's going on here?
not just that, like that this is the national champion. If you come in as a distance runner, like just going in there, there's high stakes, So
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
so it's pressure. It's not like you're going to a school that no one's heard of. There's expectations, and I think that could be an amazing thing and really help build the culture, because you can kind of weed out those who can't meet that expectations. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so, like, for those girls who are, struggling, having a hard time, I think it's cool that a lot of us who are now up here can relate with those girls.
Yeah.
And so that's something that, yeah, I think to be a good leader, you've got to be able to relate with those that are struggling and kind of helping them along.
Has your mental health journey really helped you connect with some of these girls and what they're going through, considering? And are you open with them about like what you went through and the things that you still probably undergo? And again, they probably look at you as it's Meghan Hunter, team leader,
Right.
one of the nation's best. And
She
you
never
kind of
has any
open up to
problems.
them, and it's like, no, when I step on that track, I'm still feeling the same things you ladies are feeling. Like, have you been able to
Mhm.
relate to them that way and kind of get through to them?
Yeah, I think going through different challenges has made me a more empathetic person. And yeah, I hope that I'm someone on the team that people can feel comfortable
That's
talking about
awesome.
these things. I try to be as open as I can, just because well, like when I was first diagnosed with PTSD, I was like, I thought this was just for war veterans. Like,
Yeah.
what is going on? Like, this isn't supposed to happen to me. But early on, I found out that some people that I was even close with were dealing with similar things, and I had no idea.
Crazy.
And um, yeah, being able to learn from people who have gone through those similar things was really helpful for me. And so, yeah, I try to be as open as I can about the challenges that I had and challenges that I still am going through. And yeah, hopefully it helps make a difference.
That's great.
So, what's it like being inside of BYU athletics with all of your success? Because, we were runners and things like that. No one cares about runners, right? Like, no one wants to, like, we're just there.
I'm
But
sure they do at BYU. I'm
you
sure.
guys have had so much success individually as teams. What has it been like inside of BYU athletics? There's a lot of exciting things. The football team was really good this year. Basketball is traditionally really good. You guys have a ton of good sports, high expectations at that school as an athlete. Has it been fun walking around the athletic center, knowing who you guys are, and really like, do you guys get along as athletes there and things like that? What is that dynamic like? Because it can be interesting, I'd imagine, at schools where BYU is a football school, right? And obviously Jimmer Fredette made them a basketball school, very much so, and
They're a
they
cross country
carried that
school.
through. Yeah, so it's like, what has that been like with all of your success, obviously with Connor and things like that, and everyone else coming through and doing
Yeah.
great things? Has there been more recognition of you guys, of your skill level as a team?
Yeah, I think um there's definitely people are still really excited about football and basketball wins, probably a
Sure.
little more than they are excited about us. But we have a really awesome athletic administration staff. The head, Tom Homo, actually just announced he's retiring.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they've really been great to recognize us as much as we can, as they can. Even though I wasn't a part of that cross country national championship group, I we still we're able to have some different events and some different things to really celebrate that success that those women brought to us. And so, yeah, BYU has done a good job at making sure that we're celebrated, because it's an exciting thing.
So
Yeah.
here's a question: do they make you celebrate with the boys since you both won, or you're like, hey, we want our own, let them have their own, or is it
Yeah.
all, or is everyone just, hey, cross country team? Because I think it would be cool to know the boys won and the women won, rather than just lump you guys
Mhm.
all in as national champs.
Yeah, it honestly is pretty separate.
Cool. Good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I like to hear that. Everyone gets their time to shine. And I think that is a thing where it's like people just put running together, right? Like the
sure.
boys did something, the girls did something, it's just their one program. And
Yeah,
it's like,
it's like everyone
we're
thinks there's just
separate,
one
damn
track
it.
and field team. Like there's not one track and field team. Each school has a men's and a women's team.
Mhm.
Like we're not all lumped.
So one of the last things I want to ask you is, how has it been like balancing all the success that you guys have had and kind of staying hungry, right? Because and you guys are growing as a program, you're getting better and better in all facets of the team, right? In terms of sprints, everything, and your jumps, throws, all that. You're coming together as a unit. Coach Taylor isn't just harvesting good distance runners. Like the whole entire program has been coming up and coming up. So how has it been like balancing that success and continuing to stay hungry to continue to get better and better as a team?
Yeah, after each meet that we've had this year, coach will have a little interview, and there's always something along the lines of like trying to not be too excited, but it's hard to after what just happened this weekend. And so, yeah, I don't know. I've been trying to do it personally myself with the words like humble and excited. And I think as a team, we're just doing our best to kind of keep building off that success. Obviously, we aren't gonna be peaking now or earlier. We're really wanting to put something amazing together in March. And so, yeah, realizing that like there's still a lot we need to do. Coach has already warned us the next 3-4 weeks they're gonna be real weeks. They're gonna be tough. So there's
coming into championship season, baby. It's championship season coming up.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So what are your schedule for the rest of the season? It just nationals? Are you going 800 DMR? I mean, you don't have to tell us anything. We don't want to get
coach
we don't
might
want to get
not
in
want to
trouble.
give inside baseball here.
Well, yeah, we have conference in a couple of weeks. Still deciding what I'm gonna run there. And then nationals. It's always hard because the DMR is like just the way the schedule works. It's hard to kind of double in that. So honestly, still trying to decide what to do there. I will be running an 800.
Just not sure
probably let my team take the DMR and do well with that. But yeah, still things that aren't totally decided yet.
Yeah, good.
So I'm bringing back a question, Dave. We haven't asked this question in a real long time. I think that Meghan will be the perfect person to close off the show with this question. You know what's coming up. So obviously you are, top caliber runner looking to potentially enter into the pro scene. One of our goals with this show has always been to bring fantastic guests like yourself on here, talk about your journey, your story, to get more people, not only in the track world, to enjoy the show, but also the casuals to come in. That's obviously the key to our success, right? We need more casual fans to watch our meets in order to profit. So if you could change one thing about track and field as a sport in order to get more casual fans in, and you had a wand and bing, it happened, what would you change in order to make this a bigger, better, more profitable sport for our pros and everything like that? Because our pros deserve to be millionaires and they're not, and there's a problem.
Yep.
I think one thing is just advertising it more. I think there are a lot of amazing races happening that I think if some people knew about it, then they'd be interested. The words world record, like that's pretty amazing. If we knew people were going for world record attempts, I think there would be
every day
more
almost.
Yeah.
And shout out to ESPN. I hope we did something, because since I called them out after they didn't announce Grant Fisher's or Yara Nagusi's world record. They didn't put a blast on it. I was like, you guys are embarrassing. Since then, I had nothing to do with it, obviously. But since then, they have been sending out blasts from ESPN whenever a world record has been broken.
You can't
so
ignore what is happening. Like you can't just not, like, it's that incredible. It's
here's what's annoying. Here's what's annoying though, right? BYU ladies, Meghan, a part of that team, sets the NCAA record pretty damn well too. Like they broke it pretty damn well. Where's the blast out there? Because if football player X sets the single game rushing record, football player X would get a big thing and an article and this and that. So I do think
ESPN does a very good job with their NCAA cross country and track, especially cross country. Like it's very, the casual fan can look and say, oh, this team's winning. They have this many points. So I think that they do a good job. But yeah, like to market themselves more, put these things out. BYU just breaks the DMR record. Strand runs a 348. Gary Martin comes back and runs a 348. Like let's put these out there. Let's get it out there so that Meghan, when she's pro next year and she's running for a U.S. title, she doesn't have to worry about where she's going to live because she's taken care of. That's what we need.
Meghan's going to set the indoor 800-meter record. Okay, we know this at nationals. It's about to happen. So, but anyway, Meghan, thank you so much for jumping on. This was a ton of fun.
Wonderful.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to have so many of the athletes on my team listen to this because it's good for them to hear someone of your caliber has the same struggles and things that they've been through, and it's inspiring, and I really wish you nothing but the absolute best. You're an inspiration, and I think that any kid who listens to this or college age will really get something out of
Definitely.
that. We all go through these things, no matter if you're a 2 flat girl or you're a 245 girl. We all have the same feelings when we step on that line. So thank you for sharing that. I really think that it can inspire a lot out there, and nothing but the best. You have 2 fans here that will be rooting for you until you decide to hang them up, and then in whatever you do after that. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So once again, she is Meghan Hunter. You can go find her on Instagram at Meghan_and with 3 N's, because I feel like the 2 N's were probably taken. And it's Meghan spelled with an H for those keeping score at home that aren't watching. So definitely go follow her there. And I also want to give a shout out to the BYU Instagram page, the BYU track and field page over here. Go to BYU Track Field XC, because the most important part is, as we scroll down here, we're getting there, I promise.
Well, I mean, when you have that many records, you know,
seriously,
Yeah,
we
a lot to
have,
post about.
boom, Meghan Hunter, all-time school record for the 400-meter right here, 53:01. So you get to see our awesome guest over here gracing it as well. Up there was the DMR record that she was a part of.
and the 800
I'm
record.
giving you individual shine, okay? You're getting the individual shine because you deserve it. But
thank you.
but we, absolutely appreciate you coming on. We appreciate everyone that watched, whether you watched from X, Facebook, YouTube. Thank you very much. Make sure you go smash the like button. Let everybody know that we're the greatest show of all time. But not even that. We have great guests. Me and Dave are just guys. It's guests like Meghan and our fantastic guests that we have on every week that make this show. So we appreciate it all. We'll be back again next week. If you haven't sent us PRs in a while, and you're a coach or anyone, we know you have them, send them over to us. Meghan, we're going to be hounding you now for PRs. Or even if we see them, we are going to give you a shout out anyway if we see you set them. But yeah, everyone, thank you so much.